Under the sea. Under the sea. Down it is better. Down it is weather. Under the sea.
Hey. We weren't muted, so they got some entertainment.
Hey,
We were
if
singing
it gets
Mermaid.
them to participate, they get to listen to like dime a minute karaoke, and you got half a penny. Okay. Welcome to WRME Live, where we are caffeinated and functioning. Woo! In the meantime, it is rainy, and life is continuing, and so many things. But what comes to mind is the charlatans and the scammers that are just, they've always been there, but it almost feels like they're ramping up efforts. And
it happens.
it's hard to tell between these investors that are sending postcards to anyone who's breathing, going, we want to buy your house. And you're just like, I've got like 3,000 of these postcards. If I am.
Or the calls. Even be leery of the calls of people wanting to know if you have a house for sale. They may or may not be legit.
Very.
And be leery of the questions they start asking you.
They can get a lot of personal information from you. And now they can find out a lot of what feels personal to us information from public records, such as your name, your address, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the square footage of your home when you bought it.
Yep.
And because not everyone, I can't go to Walmart and go, hey, what's the year of my house? Because most people don't know because they don't want to go dig. It's not an interest to them. But scammers then go, this is a neighborhood I'm interested in. Public records. Oh, let me call Christine. She's got a decent little house with this. I bet I can get something from her. And then there's so many search programs out there that if all you do is pay a fee, and you can get the demographic for the house, how much they make income, because it's public record.
Yes.
It's just you pay a fee for a company to give you a list of these easy to access public records all in one neat little pile. And so it sucks that scammers can pay a fee and get it because these companies can't tell the difference. They either use a fake license name, or they have a license long enough, or they use an active license from someone they've scammed before. There's so many other ways. And there's just tons of scammers. And it's not just on buying and selling homes, but also renting.
Yes.
You were telling me one on Craigslist?
Well, one of the more popular ones you'll hear about is scammers will go on and find houses that are for sale, or, already rentals, or whatever the situation, or there may not even be a rental. Who
They might
knows?
just go, look, it's pretty picture.
Right. They take a picture, they put it online, do this big spill, and they usually get people, they'll be like, we're out of state, and we need fill out an application, may or may not, depends on how legit they are. They try to seem legit.
They charge an application fee.
Yeah, the first month's rent, last month's rent, or just a deposit or whatever, they'll find a way to get money and say they're going to send you the keys, or have a carrier deliver them, or have you meet an associate. You never get the keys, the house is never really for rent, or it's for sale, or whatever.
And I know a unique case that happened a few years ago. We had a short sale, beautiful 2-story house, and unfortunately it wound up going to foreclosure. That bank, I could talk about that bank. But the point is, someone got the agent's business card. It didn't have the agent's photo on it. And they impersonated the agent. They actually said, hi, my name is Bob, and said, I can't show you the inside of the house because the homeowners aren't comfortable. And they quite literally walked them around the house and said, now the owners will agree to show it to you if you put down a $500 deposit. And then that agent got called into ORIC because we never got our money. We never got to see inside the house. And so when they actually called the name on the number on the card to get they called a broker. They got Bob. And Bob's like, no, I don't believe I've shown houses to you. And when they showed up at ORIC, the guy's like, that's not Bob. Yeah. I am Bob. No, you're not. This person, and listed off all these descriptions. You look nothing like Bob. And it sucks that there are people that take advantage of either, what if you feel it's a little bit braggy to put your face on a business card? What if you think it's wise to put your post on Craigslist, or they just get away with it?
Sometimes post legit houses for sale depending on the situation on Craigslist. If we have an as is that's primarily going to be hit by investors, sometimes we'll put it on Craigslist. Not saying all listings on Craigslist or Facebook or wherever you might find them.
It's just another reason to speak to a legitimate realtor, because if they'd gone to orc.ok.gov and looked up the license, they could have got the broker, they could have called the brokerage directly, or they could have called the number on the business card sooner and been like, hey,
so like in our situation, if something happened to one of us, like Christina's going to say, they'd call the broker too, Carl, or whoever's the broker at that point, and ask questions too, because it's not only us that could get into trouble, our immediate broker in charge can get in trouble too, so it kind of enwraps the whole group when something goes on.
And then if they were working with an agent other than the imaginary listing agent, they could have gone, let me look on the MLS. That appears to be a short sale, not a rental. So we need to make some calls. Let me call the agent on the MLS. And then that would have brought up some red flags, because I haven't showed a property to Barbara Sue and JFK. I haven't, no. But that's the point of the realtor things. We have to be checked by the state. We have to check on the federal, our fingerprints. Seriously, when my fingerprints wear off, because I do all sorts of things with chemicals, I have to get my fingerprints redone, because I'm in all the databases. I'm required to keep them up to date to a certain fashion. And it's just part of it. And we are tracked, we are liable, we can't be felons. This long list of things that we have to go through just to go, I would like to help you.
So we're not going to go require a $500.
And if they are, you better call their broker or something wrong.
So do your research. If you're not sure, don't answer questions. If they sound kind of, I don't care how good. I've had a couple call me. I like to jack with them. So I give them some random number about how.
Oh, jack with the scammers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
About how much I'll sell my house for. Just by the questions they're asking, I know this isn't legit. I've dealt with investor groups calling before. The craziest one was Flipper Flop actually called me on a property I had listed. I didn't believe it was associated with them. I did my research, but it was legit. But so we did all that, but question it. If you're not sure, get their name, get a phone number, get what business they're supposedly with.
What brokerage they're associated with,
whatever.
Not just business.
And
sometimes
then
it's both.
Call them back later. Call the number listed online. Do
Google.
lots of research. Even Google.
A little
Facebook.
5-minute Google
Yelp,
research. And you're just
whatever.
like, oh, let me call these numbers. Oh, you don't have an agent named Peggy Sue. Well, that person tried to show me a house. Okay, I shouldn't work with them. Thank you for letting me know.
State they're supposedly in. If it's an investment group, sometimes it'll be out of state. You still can get enough information. You should be able to find out if they seem legit. And all else fails, talk to a local agent. Let them handle a possible negotiation. Okay, I'd consider selling to them for X amount. Would you find out if this is legit? I'd like to use you to handle the paperwork on my behalf or whatever. So.
There's so many ways. There are a lot of benefits to using a realtor in a world full of scammy McScammertons that are always looking for a quick $500, $1,000 on up. And I remember one case where a scammer got it over on the agent, convinced the agent. It wasn't our brokerage. It was one farther south, I think south of Norman. And it was like a $600,000 house, and the buyer was supposedly qualified, but the agent kept getting a fake qualification letter. And now they should have double checked with the lender, should have called that number, and if nothing else, introduced. But human happens, and the lady's like, I'm short on cash. Why don't you will you please pay for the inspections? He has no red flags coming up to this, and she just up and disappears. He pays for the inspections, all this stuff, and then she up and disappears. And now he is held liable for that scammer because he supposedly brought a qualified buyer and it held the property up for months because of, oh, my financing. A good realtor tries to make time to call the lender to make sure everything's above board. You have a copy of the contract. We're on the right page. Balls got dropped, way too many of them, and he wound up having to forfeit his license because of the legalities that occurred from his negligence. And that person got away scot-free with, I think there was even, I want to say the earnest money never got deposited either. So quite literally, this person just wreaked havoc, and the agent paid for all of it.
And there's a reason why us as realtors have a conversation or a line of connection with your lender, with the title company,
with you. We try and talk to you guys once a week, sometimes once every other week, depending on your work schedule. Or like if we're sick, talk to my agent that I'm working with. Hey, I'm sick. Please contact Erin this week. Or my kids are sick. Please contact Erin this week. She's helping while I am
and
recovering.
Like if I'm out of town and I have someone covering, I always let my clients know who will be contacting them. Give them their contact information. Then Terry or Christine or Bob or Joe or whoever's covering for me, will get my client's information. They'll get their name, their phone number, their email, where we are, proof of funds, whatever the general status is. Yes.
And but it is securely protected between agent to trusted agent and only on that specific situation. And more than anything, you're taken care of while life is happening.
Right. So you don't have to worry about
and
getting
usually
caught in a situation.
More often than not, we send it in email form, so that way if you forget, you can look it up in your email and go, okay, Erin said I'd be getting called by Robert, and that explains why I got a voicemail from Robert.
Right. So, and Carl's right. He made the comment, he goes, trust but verify. That's completely true. Just because you don't have the right feeling doesn't mean you shouldn't trust it. Maybe it's just
trust with a grain of salt.
Something, or you didn't like the word they used or whatever. Could be anything. Doesn't mean they're not truthful or they're not telling you the truth, but you can verify it. So
you never truly know someone 100%. That's just life. You can't get inside their brain and understand. You do need to trust your gut, but you also need to give it a grain of salt so you can do your research afterwards to make sure your gut was valid, or maybe it was just a little hypersensitive to the chicken you had for lunch. Who knows? But don't dismiss it, but also be willing to give it time on certain things. Now, if they ask for like the $500 cash, I think I'm going to go get my checkbook broker.
If it sounds too good to be true.
Probably is.
But check. Sometimes you might just come across a really sweet deal.
And they're out there, but they're rare.
So, check, verify, do your due diligence. If you don't get a good feeling,
talk to a licensed realtor. Verify they're a licensed realtor, because we can help with some of that. Like, is this a legitimate listing? We can call, we have no problems calling for sale by owners and going, because we have had this where signs have shown up in someone else's yard for sale by owner, and it was like a rental property, and the renters didn't know if the property owner was selling when it was just a random person trying to get.
Or people like to move signs or pull signs, you know.
It's people do things to be snits. Some of them aren't kids, they're just jerks.
Well, that too.
But call an agent. We'll call them and be like, that name doesn't match what's on the public records, and do a little bit of research. Because maybe he inherited it. Maybe it needs to be this and that. Maybe it's not them.
All right. As always, comment. You can message us, call if you have any questions. We'll be happy to talk to you. If you want us to talk about a topic, let us know.
Yes, give us topics.
Until then, have a good weekend.
Welcome to WRME Live, where we do This is WRME Live, where we do real life, real world, real